Welcome to another edition of Bobcat Breakdown here on Q30 Television. I'm your host, Morey Hershgordon, and tonight we have a couple intelligent Quinnipiac sports analysts ready to discuss the entertaining past week of Quinnipiac sports. First, let's bring in Alex Cosgrove. Great to have you with us tonight, Alex.
Glad to be here, Morey.
And making his first appearance on Bobcat Breakdown, freshman cross-country runner Dylan Fearon. Welcome, Mr. Fearon.
Great to be here, Morey. Hopefully the first of many.
So guys, this past week and weekend had a slew of games loaded with playoff implications on the hardwood. Let's start off with the basketball teams, specifically men's basketball. Winners of 5 straight games and currently tied with Canisius and Manhattan at 12-4 in the MAC. Most recently, the Bobcats defeated the St. Peter's Peacocks Sunday afternoon on Senior Day, 74-64. So the first question, guys, what has been the key to spark this team's second half MAC play surge?
Well, Dylan, I'll start it off with confidence. I think Tom Moore laid into this team after the loss against Canisius and really made a point of playing with confidence, going out there and knowing that you have the ability to play against anybody. And you look at this team and you look at the variety they have on offense. In the last 5 wins, they've had 4 guys be the top scorer. 4 guys. And that creates a lot of variety within the offense. It's difficult for opponents to really game plan against the Bobcats, and it only helps them moving forward.
Well, I'm going to go with getting healthy. This team has been plagued by injuries all season long. You talk about Umar Shannon out with a concussion, Kasim Chandler broken toe, Usman Jame has been plagued by a knee injury all season long. You're going to have to go with guys with Evan Conti, James Ford in the starting lineup, Justin Harris, Marquise Barnett also injured. So this team's been plagued by injury all season long. If they want to get momentum going into the MAC tournament in Springfield, Massachusetts, and hopefully dance in late March, they're going to have to get healthy.
But, you know, I like that idea, getting healthy. That's definitely a good point. But look at the depth of this team. This team, from the top 4 scorers, from Ike, he's averaging 16.9 points per game. Usman's 13.1. He's the 4th best. That's 3 points. That's a difference of 3 points. That is so much depth right there. You have so many weapons on offense that, like I said, if you're an opponent trying to game plan against this team, that's going to be difficult. You can't single out one individual.
You can, especially guys looking at Evan Conti off the bench in the past couple weeks. He's put up numbers across the board, points, rebounds, and assists. He fills the stat sheet.
Right, but you're talking about depth. They only play 7 or 8 guys now with all these injuries. Evan Conti had to play 35 minutes in 2 games in the last couple of weeks. That just doesn't usually happen, especially now with all these injuries. It is going to happen, but, I mean, they're just plagued by so many injuries. It's got to be getting healthy before Springfield.
Umar and Justin Harris should be suiting up for Thursday's game at Canisius, so that should give the Bobcats a lift.
Well, another point that you made, Morey, is that about Evan Conti. He's a good player, and he's really stepped up big when some of the other players haven't, especially in that game against Canisius. Him and Zaid Hurst were the top scorers in that game. So, yeah, they have a few guys off the bench, but those guys are still contributing.
Right, but with these injuries, it's going to cause trouble getting from the backcourt to the front court. You talk about Evan Conti's having to dribble the ball up. They've had Usman Jame do it a couple times. I mean, they need Umar back. They need Shaq back. Well, Shaq's been back, excuse me. They need Kasim back. And they just need their guards healthy. They're going to play well in Springfield.
All right, gentlemen, next question. What do the Bobcats need to polish over the last 2 weeks of the regular season in order to be clicking on all cylinders heading into the MAC tournament in Springfield?
Well, I think a big thing is continuing to play with confidence, Dylan, but it's also got to be the turnovers as well. This is a team that combined, when you look at the stat from turnover margin to the steal margin, they're not getting as many steals as they are turning the ball over. They need to clean that up. And if they do, it'll only help them moving forward into the postseason.
Well, I think one thing that's really helped them so far this season is the veteran leadership. You talk about they lost Jamie Jackson and Dave Johnson last season, and they brought in Umar Shannon from St. Francis of Pennsylvania, great player. And now they start 3 seniors and 2 juniors. Not many other MAC teams can say that. You have other teams in the lower half of the MAC, they're starting 3 freshmen, a couple of sophomores. We're starting 3 seniors and 2 juniors, tons of experience. You bring Evan Conti off the bench, who's another junior. I think the veteran leadership's really helped them come very far this season.
Guys, how about their play against the press?
Well, I think it starts with fundamentals, Morey, and when if it's struggling, you got to go back to the basics, and that's bounce passes. That's looking for the top man down the court. But I think this team, with the skill level they have, with the coaching style of Tom Moore, I think they're going to be fine. They can make those adjustments.
Right, I agree with you. And they will continue to do better at the press when they get their guys back from injury. Umar Shannon's out. So right now they're asking Evan Conti to help out with the press, and Usman Drame is having to touch the ball. I don't want Usman Drame really touching the ball before they get past midcourt. We need Umar back. We need Kasim back to help out with that. And once those guys come back, they'll be all right.
All right, guys, so let's move on to Trisha Fabry's squad. The women's basketball team is currently sitting at 16-10 overall and 11-5 in MAC play. They currently sit in 4th place, just one game behind 3rd place Fairfield. Following an 83-50 win over Monmouth at home on Sunday, head coach Trisha Fabry discussed her team's emphasis on defense during practice over the past week. So what did you guys see as being the biggest difference in the way the team played? Anything specific? Help side defense, hedging screens, all 5 men boxing out? What did you guys see? Dylan, we'll start with you.
All right, well, Morey, Trisha Fabry has been constantly saying she wants 40 minutes of defensive basketball. And against Marist, they give up 100 points. That's just unacceptable. They put up 81. They put 80-plus points in the last 3 games, but defensively, that's unacceptable. Then they come in against Monmouth. They win by 33 points. They played great defense. They didn't allow a single point 7 minutes into the game. Didn't allow a field goal for the first 9 minutes. It's really been just the overall defense. They've done a great job with help defense. They've done a good job hedging screens. Only thing I didn't really like was they allowed 18 offensive rebounds against Monmouth. And if you do that against Marist, Iona, or Fairfield, they're not going to win.
Well, Dylan, I agree with that, and I'm going to add to that with the contesting shots. That was a big difference between that game against Marist and that game against Monmouth. They did not contest many of those shots against Marist. They sunk a lot of threes consecutively against the Bobcats, and that's what really ended up, making the score up to triple digits against the Bobcats. But in that game against Monmouth, you saw their hands in their faces. They contested a lot of those shots. They forced their hands into the faces of their opponent, and they could not shoot the ball well.
Right, and one thing Brittany McQueen and Jasmine Martin stressed in the post-game interview against Monmouth was great defense will come with great offense, and it'll help them in transition. They started the game on a 17-3 run, and just the great defense produced points for them in transition. They got steals, they got on fast breaks, they had a lot of second chance points, a lot of fast break points. It helped them have some transition three-pointers, and that's one of the reasons why they won by 33 points against Monmouth.
Alex, I love your point about closing out shots, because when you close out shots, you're right there to box out, and you're going to grab rebounds and push it up the floor.
Well, I mean, it's going back to fundamentals more. I mean, it's a simple thing to do is just to put your hand in the face, and when you do that, that causes errant shots. That causes less accurate shots.
Yep. So as we start analyzing possible first and second round MAC playoff matchups, which top 3 team do you guys think the Bobcats match up with best, and why? Dylan, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with Fairfield, and this is why. They played them twice this season. January 5th, they were up by 11 at halftime, ended up losing by 1. Then against Fairfield on January 26th, they lost by 9 points. Both really close games. Against Marist and Iona haven't done so well. They're 0-5 versus the top 3 teams in the MAC, but they are 8-2 in their last 10 games. I think they get some momentum playing the bottom half teams in the MAC the rest of the way, heading into the MAC tournament. I think if they play Fairfield, that's their best shot at advancing to a championship and even going dancing in late March.
I agree with that, Dylan. I like their matchup against Fairfield. But, I mean, if you look at number 5 Ryder, who they've played well against them. And even though Ryder beat Iona early in the season, I like their chance against Ryder just because they've played so well against them. And you can see the level, like the confidence in the team playing against Ryder, and that's the team I got.
Right, but you talk about the top 3 teams above Quinnipiac, who's now in 4th. You got Iona, Marist, and then Fairfield. I got to go with Fairfield. Just down, they've lost to them twice. They're 0-5 versus the top 3 teams in the MAC, but against the Stags, they size up well. They can run with them well. They can score on them pretty easily. I think if they are playing them in Springfield, that's their best shot, and they're going to come away with a W.
Dylan, Fairfield's right above Quinnipiac, but if you look to Marist or Iona at a possible championship matchup, which one do you think the Bobcats would rather play?
Well, I'd actually go with Marist on this one. You talk about they lost 100-81 the last time they played, but the score was 32-32 at one point. Marist went on a 10-0 run. Then at the under 4-minute timeout in the second half, it was only a 9-point game. Trisha Fabry stressed in the post-game interview they needed a stop. They didn't get it, lost by 19, gave up 3 threes to end the game. But I think if they can just keep practicing on defense until they play them in the championship, if it gets like that, then they can beat Marist.
I think Morey and Dylan, I think that Marist game was a rare sight. A lot of things had to go right for Marist, and a lot of things had to go wrong for the Quinnipiac Bobcats for that game, and it did. And I think Marist, took advantage of that, and took advantage of, Quinnipiac not playing well.
I mean, all 3 games that they play, any of those teams are going to be tough. I think Fairfield's their best shot at a W. After that, maybe Marist, but I don't see them beating Ione at all.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for the intelligent answers. But we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'll sit down with men's hockey defender Danny Federico and talk about their push towards the ECAC playoffs. Stay with us.
The Bobcat Shop, located at 1010 Sherman Avenue in Hamden. Your #1 choice for Bobcat merchandise. The Bobcat Shop features 2 floors of countless styles and colors. With a full 19,000 square foot screen printing and embroidery operation on the premises, Campus Customs and Simplify can design and decorate any garment or promotional product as quickly as needed. Stop in and say hi.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm Morey Hershgordon alongside Quinnipiac men's ice hockey junior defenseman Danny Federico. Danny, thank you very much for coming on to the show tonight.
Pleasure to be here.
So on any sport, on any team, any sport, the defense can always become the scapegoat in a loss. So who kind of inspired you to play hockey and specifically defense?
It was about when I was 3 years old. My parents were trying to get me into different sports, and their brothers played hockey, so they just decided to get me on the ice. And I was a forward actually growing up, but then I switched to defense once I started playing travel hockey, and haven't stopped.
And so you only dressed for 16 of the 40 games your freshman year. Talk about a little bit of the process over the past year and a half that has kind of propelled you to become one of the leaders on the team.
Yeah, definitely. Freshman year was a learning year. I had a lot of things I needed to learn. Going from juniors to playing college hockey was a big step up. And that spring and that summer, I worked a lot with the coaches and just getting faster and better conditioned to play the college game. And I think I made a big step coming sophomore year and then this year.
Anything specifically you do in the off season to prepare yourself, because you play the most amount of minutes on the ice of any forward or defenseman on the team. You led the team in the plus-minus rating last year, and you're also first in the team in the plus-minus this year. So what have you done in the preseason that has helped you in these late-game situations?
I've done a lot of conditioning in the off-season. Losing 4 senior defensemen last year, I knew I would have a bigger role this year. So I did a lot of conditioning in the summer, just to be able to have the coaches rely on you late in games. If you're tired, you're going to need that extra conditioning to get you through that game. Yeah,
talking about those late game situations, 1-goal games can be very hectic. What keeps you calm on the ice during those situations?
I'm not really sure. I like the big pressure situations. I like coaches relying on me late in games, and I think that just feeds on what I do. I really enjoy it, and I like to be a cool, calm, and collective player out there. So I really enjoy it.
You guys graduated 11 seniors last year. You have 5 freshmen and 1 sophomore. It's only you and Zach Tolkinen that are the upperclassmen on this defense. How have you helped them to be able to become the 5th best team in college hockey so far?
I think a lot of it has to do with just them. They're great hockey players. Alex Barron didn't play much last year on defense, but he's really stepped up this year. And the freshmen we brought in this year are great hockey players, and Zach Tolkinen and myself, we'll be there for them if they need any helpers on face-offs or just, pointers that our coach is stressing on them. But, a lot of it has to do with them just being great hockey players.
Anything you guys specifically pride yourself on as a defensive unit?
Yeah, we just, as a decor, we're a collective group, and we really pride ourselves on, bringing it every night and, really just being a shutdown decor and trying to be #1 in defense in the nation.
It's been a long season. There's been some hiccups up and down, but you find yourself sitting at 2nd place in the ECAC, 5th in the country. What's the ceiling for this team?
We want to win the regular season. We've got some work to do, down by 4 points with only 4 games to go. But we're hoping to win these last 4. We really got to step up and make a stride into playoffs. But we want to win a regular season championship. We want to win the playoff championship, and we want to redeem ourselves last year and win a national championship. All
right, well, good luck. Thank you very much for being on. We look forward to possibly seeing you in Philadelphia this year.
Thank you very much.
And when we come back, we'll be talking a little buy or sell here on Bobcat Breakdown. Stay tuned.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. All right, guys, this is the best part of the night. I'm going to make a statement about Quinnipiac athletics, and you're either going to have to buy or sell and defend your position. So the first one, is Ike Azotam the best player in Quinnipiac men's basketball history, given the fact that he's been producing eye-popping numbers in the MAC?
Well, I'm going to sell this one, and this is why. Okay, Ike, this is no disrespect to Ike Azotam whatsoever. What he's done for this program, how he has grown from freshman to senior year is unbelievable, and a ton of credit goes to him. But he just isn't the best player in Quinnipiac program history. He's definitely up there, top 3, maybe top 5, but I think guys like Justin Ruddy are up there, Porky Vieira, who dropped 2,600 points in his career. Those kind of guys, I think, are above Ike Azotam, but that's no disrespect to him because he has been great for the Bobcats this season and in his career. But best player of all time, I'm going to sell that.
I'm going to have to disagree, Dylan. Look at how this team has transitioned into the conference. I'm going to buy this. I think Ike is the best player to have played at Quinnipiac. Simply because, well, you're transitioning from the NEC to the MAC. And that's hard to do when you're facing teams you've never played before, especially in the middle of your career here at Quinnipiac. So, yeah, I'm going to buy it. He has 1,507 career points. He's leading the team with 422. He's putting this team on his back. He's making that transition easier for this team. I'm going to buy it.
But it sounds like giving him a lot of the credit. Usman Drame has grown so much from his sophomore to his junior season. Bringing in Umar Shannon from St. Francis has been a huge boost for this Quinnipiac team. The best of all time, think about what you're saying. No one else in the program history is better than you. I really got to go maybe top 5. There are a couple other guys that are...
Dylan, you look at the jump from the NEC to the MAC. The MAC is a conference in which a couple years ago had an at-large team make the NCAA tournament. The NEC is with the SWACs, the Southland, even the MEAC, where Norfolk State plays. So do you think even Ike Azotam could become the best player in school history, if that were the statement, if they were to win the MAC tournament and make their first ever NCAA appearance?
Well, then it's another topic for discussion. But you're saying as of right now, is he the best player? And I'm going to still say no. Maybe if they won the MAC championship, maybe if they won 3 games in Springfield, if they went to Buffalo in the first round of the NCAA tournament or something like that, then maybe we'll have to talk about it again. But as of right now, no, he is not the best player in Quinnipiac program history.
See, excuse me, Morey. I give him a lot of credit because, well, he deserves it. He's leading in points. He's a big reason why they can rebound, why they're getting the ball on offense. He's a big stopper on defense down low. He deserves a lot of the credit. He is the best player. He's making this transition so much easier for this squad that you got to give him that credit where it's due.
And yes, Dylan, there are pieces around him. Umar Shannon has been a big help. Usman Drame has been a huge help. Zaid Hurst has been a big help. But when teams have to focus on you and game plan for you, that allows other guys the chance to definitely make plays and get into the lane. All right, so we're going to have to go on to the next one. Is Kelly Babstock the best player to ever suit up for the Quinnipiac Bobcats men's or women's ice hockey teams? She has 197 career points.
Yeah, see, this is a difficult one, Morey, because simply you're asking a question where if one player from one gender of a sport is the best in both, it's very hard to determine that with Kelly Babstock, especially with the different style of hockey between men's and women's. Men's is a much more physical sport, and that's nothing against women's ice hockey. It's just I think she is the best women's hockey player to play at Quinnipiac. I just don't know if you can really slide her in with all the other top players in the men's.
Well, there's no question she's the best women's ice hockey player of all time. She has 197 career points, 3 away from an illustrious 200. No one else in women's ice hockey Quinnipiac history has over 100. So there's no question she's the best women's player. But as you said, I completely agree. I'm gonna have to probably sell this one. As an offensive standpoint, I might even say yes, that she is the best, both men's and women's. But to talk about great goaltenders to come to this program, Eric Hartzell from last year was phenomenal. What a beast. And Victoria Vigilante, who also graduated last year, was also an unbelievable goaltender.
Dylan, that's just one person on the ice. There are 5 others on the ice. If you were to take out Hartzell and insert Gartag last year, yes, he is young, but there are 5 other guys that can score and that can defend.
Morey, it sounds like it sounds like you're saying if they put in Gartag instead of Hartzell, they would have made the national championship. It sounds like that's what you're saying. There's no way.
See, I'm going to go back. If you're looking at a statistical standpoint for Kelly Babstock, yeah, maybe you can make an argument that she's, the best hockey player at Quinnipiac University. But aside from that, you've got to look at the styles of hockey. Men and women play a completely different style. So you got to put that into perspective, and I just don't see how you can really answer that.
Right. I still agree. I'm still going to go with that she's the best offensive player in both men's and women's, but in terms of altogether, I'm going to have to disagree and sell that one too.
All right, guys, so the next one. By herself, Tom Moore has been the best coach of the winter sports teams, given the fact that the Bobcats are tied for second place during their inaugural year in the MAC.
I'm going to buy that one. You talk about this team, Quinnipiac went from 15-16 in the NEC, lost a couple of seniors, now going to the MAC, their first ever MAC year, and they're 17-8 and they're 12-4 in the MAC, and they're on their way to a bye in the first round of the MAC tournament. Yeah, he's definitely been the best winter season coach so far.
Well, I'm going to agree with you, just simply for the same reasons why I think Ike Aztam is, the best player for men's basketball. The transition from the NEC to the MAC, it's very hard to make that transition and have the success that they've been having this year. And, when, as well as they've been doing, a lot has to be with leadership and the coaching staff, and Tom Moore has done a very good job in coaching this team.
Right, he deserves a ton of credit. He helped Ousmane Jammeh grow as a player, mature from his sophomore to his junior season. No one really thought Ousmane would be that great this season. He was really good the last few games last season, but this season we didn't really know. He's done an incredible job transitioning from the NEC to the MAC. He brought in Umar Shannon, got Kasim Chandler here for his freshman season. He deserves a ton of credit and a lot more than people are giving him, I think.
And Tom Moore is supposedly bringing in one of the 3-star recruit next year, which is quote-unquote the best recruit that Quinnipiac will have in their history. Last one, gentlemen. The men's ice hockey team will win a championship, either the ECAC or the NC2A.
See, Morey, I'm going to sell this one. And as much as I want to say yes, they can or they will, I don't think they are. I think the inconsistency with this team, especially on defense, is a huge issue with the men's hockey team. They've turned the puck over on their end of the ice a lot, and it's led to opponents scoring and jumping on them early in games. Look at the Brown game, for example. That first goal was on a defensive turnover, Dylan. And you can't have that, especially at the end of the season where you're looking to play your best quality hockey.
Well, just to play devil's advocate for a little bit, I'm going to buy this and say I think they're going to win the ECAC. But the reason I'm not going to go with the NCAA is just because of all the penalties, okay? They got to be disciplined, okay? 27 penalty minutes on 8 infractions against Brown over the weekend. That's unacceptable. That can't happen. But I think they might be able to pull one out in the ECAC. But just in terms of the NCAA, Minnesota, Boston College, those two teams are a little too tough, and I don't think they're going to be able to win a national championship this year.
In the ECAC, though, gentlemen, they've seen these teams before in the regular season twice, once at home and once on the road. You go into the NC2A, that's just a one-game, quote-unquote, playoff to then move on to the next round. So if they put together a solid 60 minutes, something could definitely happen.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think you look at Union and how Quinnipiac has played against them. They've been in that team. I mean, they can beat all these teams. But the difference between the Bobcats and teams like Union is consistency. Union is playing good hockey right now. Michael Gartig, he's really struggling to find the puck, and he's allowed 11 goals in the last 5 games. Now you look at that Yale game, it was great, but you got to keep that going. You got to keep playing well. You got to keep that puck from getting to the back of the net. And when you're struggling, when you allow 3 goals one game, shut out a team, then allow 4 more goals, that's not consistent.
Right, and the fact they got to get going early. They got to start playing well early. They allowed their first goal against Brown a minute 35 into the game. They're playing down for 58 minutes. That can't happen in the ECAC or the NCAA tournament if they want to go far.
Well, guys, we will have to see, because in other sports, definitely, teams can get hot towards the end of the regular season. This team still has 4 more games to right the ship. But thank you for viewing the show tonight. I'm your host, Morey Hershgordon, and that'll do it here on Bobcat Breakdown.